Chapter 2. James. Seeing Allie was a shock to my system. I remember seeing the name on the client form and wondering if the two were somehow related. Allison Myers, Alice Myers. I thought they may have been sisters or cousins, but I blew it off because I knew she didn't have a sister. Still, I was prepared to joke with her how my ex-wife had a similar name. It never occurred to me that she would be the same person I'd promised to spend the rest of my life with. She looked good. I had to give her that. She definitely didn't let herself go in the 10-plus years we'd been apart. If anything, she looked even hotter. In that tight business suit with the collar, she looked good enough to lick. I had to keep my thoughts in check all the way through our brief meeting to avoid saying anything inappropriate. It was over between us, and I knew she wouldn't appreciate knowing that I still thought of her that way. To be honest, I hadn't thought of her at all in a very long time. I regretted the way I left things, but that was all in the past. When my parents died, I took it hard. I was close with both of them, and it was so unexpected. Not only did I inherit their small estate, but I also got a hefty insurance check. The resort they were staying in paid millions to keep me from suing. At the time, I just signed the paperwork and took the money, not caring about anything. Fighting wouldn't bring them back, and I knew it was an accident. A few years later, I realized that I should have pursued matters. There was probably some negligence involved, and in addition to more money, I could have made the place safer for other couples. But my head wasn't in the game until it was too late. Luckily, I didn't piss all the money away. By the time I recovered and went back to school, there was still plenty to launch my own business. I lied to Allie when I told her it was the college's events that led me to my work. It was actually my parents. I wanted to do something that would make me feel closer to them, that would honor their memory and allow me to focus on the good times. Becoming a wedding planner seemed like a natural solution, but I quickly realized that was a crowded field. So instead of focusing on weddings, I branched out into all kinds of events. I found my niche doing high-end specialized parties for companies and individuals who wanted something extra. All it took was capital. The more I spent on a party, the more I got paid. I developed a portfolio of ideas and used them to draw in more customers. What I said about working with friends was true. There were a couple people I went to school with who helped out. Our IT guy was my college roommate, and our secretary was his wife. There were 2 assistants who helped me with the back-end logistics, making purchases and setting up decorations. But I was the creative talent. It was my vision that people were interested in. I knew for a fact that Allie wasn't going to be able to find anyone else to do what she wanted to do. In fact, I had only worked with 2 other clients who wanted similar things. The concept of an event a day was a big deal. Of course, with weddings, there were often a bunch of smaller parties leading up to the main attraction. If a couple didn't want to rely on the best man and the maid of honor to plan their bachelor and bachelorette parties, we could do that too. And there was the bridal shower, the rehearsal dinner, and often a family get-together. Allie's proposal was one of the biggest, though. I was confident I could pull it off and get all of her employees into the Christmas spirit. I'd already designed a bunch of the events, including an ugly sweater party, a tree decorating, and a snowball fight. A few of the ideas were new, but most of them are things I'd done before, so I knew that everyone would enjoy them. The problem was that if I took the job, I'd be working with Allie for an entire month. Not Allie, I told myself. Alice. I wondered why she'd changed her name. Maybe it had something to do with the business, some kind of rebranding thing. I liked Allie, but Alice seemed to suit her. The way she bristled when I called her by her old name made me aware that I'd better not make the same mistake twice. If she wanted to be Alice, then that's what I would call her. I went back to the office to check email. There were always other projects to work on, and clients appreciated it when I responded quickly. I didn't tell anybody about what had just happened. They didn't need to know that the big fish on the hook was my ex-wife. "Hey, James," our secretary, Sarah, called out as soon as I walked in. "Hey, Sarah," I responded. "You got 2 calls," she handed over yellow slips. They were both from the same client, which meant I'd better respond. Before calling him back, I checked in with the caterer to make sure everything was still running smoothly. There was a problem with the menu, but I got it all sorted out. I called the guy back and apologized, explaining what had happened and the solution we were offering. He seemed appeased and agreed to let me handle it. I was feeling generous after my meeting with Alice, so I bought lunch for everyone. There was a sub shop right around the corner that gave us a hefty discount. I ordered a platter and put it in the lobby when it arrived. Grabbing half a roast beef for myself, I walked back to my desk to eat in private. Alice wasn't the only one in charge of a company. Sometimes I felt like I had to plug leaks with all of my fingers just to keep the thing afloat. Other times it felt like I was pushing a dozen boulders uphill, one for each event. I checked in with DJ, a balloon animal artist, and a winery. I paid a few bills and lined up a new venue tour. Scott came in at 3 in the afternoon to run through the website analytics. I gave him half an ear, still thinking about Alice. I wondered what she was doing, and if she had given up her search for anyone else yet. She didn't call back that day, so maybe she'd decided against her ambitious plan. It wasn't until noon the next day that I heard from her. I was in the office between meetings when Sarah buzzed me. "I have Alice Myers on line 1, she said. "Put her through," I instructed. I already knew what she was going to say, but allowed her to get it out without saying, "I told you so." "You were right." Her voice sounded tight, and I knew how much those words bothered her. "I couldn't find anyone else." "Not a problem," I said, brushing the apology off. "I still have space." "Great. I'll get you on the schedule. We'll need to talk soon. I already have some ideas I need to run by you to get your approval." She seemed to like that, remaining quiet for a moment. I couldn't hear her expression, but I knew from experience that she was quiet when she was happy and argumentative when she was upset. The words, "your approval," were probably what did it. Allie was anything but a passenger. She always wanted to be in control. I had to break myself of the habit of calling her Allie. Even in my own mind, the word was dangerous. I repeated her new name several times under my breath, waiting for her to respond. She didn't seem to hear me, which was good. I was used to glad handling clients, but this one would be different. I had intimate knowledge of her likes and dislikes. If I was the devious sort, I could use that information against her, presenting her with exactly the kind of Christmas experience she was looking for. In fact, if I had any sort of business sense, that's exactly what I'd do. I could work this out better than the previous 5 clients combined. Never mind the awkward pauses. I was going to force Allie to give me a 5-star review. "Alice," I said out loud. "Yes?" "Sorry," I explained hastily. "I'm trying to remember your new name." "It's not that hard." "Can I come over sometime today or tomorrow?" I asked, ignoring her little barb. "I have a 2 o'clock today," she said. "Perfect. I'll be right there. James," she started before I hung up. "Yes?" She hesitated, and I could tell that whatever she wanted to say was on the tip of her tongue. "Never mind. We'll talk when you get here." "Sure," I agreed, hanging up the call. I swung out into the main office to tell Sarah the good news. "I booked the Shipping Magic events." "Congratulations," Sarah stood up and gave me a canned clap. It was a big win for our company, considering how much Alice was going to pay. We were steadily increasing the net worth of our clients from simple weddings to more extravagant affairs. Alice's month-long celebration was going to be one of the biggest. With that under our belt, we could brand ourselves as extravaganza planners instead of party planners and rake in the dough. I checked my phone and saw that I had 3 hours until our meeting. It was just enough time to hop into another meeting, iron out a few details for a different client, and make a series of phone calls. After that, I grabbed the portfolio I had created for Alice and was on my way. She kept me waiting for 15 minutes, and I wondered if it was out of spite. When she finally emerged from her office, I could see that wasn't the case. She looked like she had just run a lap around the building, and I knew from experience that could only mean one thing. There was some fire she had been trying to put out. Successfully, I hoped. "Was everything okay?" I asked, concerned. "Yeah, fine," she replied, holding her door open. "If you think it's crazy here now, wait until December." I looked around at the dozen or so employees working at their desks, and I didn't see anything crazy. But what did I know? I was sure she knew what she was talking about, since it was her company. "Is there anything I can do?" I asked, setting my briefcase down on a small conference table in the corner of her office. "James," she began again, just as she had over the phone. "Alice," I turned to her, bringing out my brightest smile. "Let's get one thing straight." She pointed a finger at me, and I knew I was in for a tongue lashing. The only problem was, it didn't intimidate me as it was meant to. In fact, it kind of turned me on. She looked like a sexy librarian with her hair done up on top of her head and a pencil skirt that showed off her calves. Yes, I folded my arms, goading her into whatever lecture she was planning to give. This is not going anywhere. You and me is not happening again. Understood, I replied easily. Now I've got at least 10 events so far that you can take a look at. I turned back to open my briefcase and retrieve the reports I'd brought. I'm serious, she continued on her rant. This is a professional arrangement. When December is over, we both go back to our own lives. A number of snarky replies popped into my head, but I discarded them all. She wasn't in a mood to be teased. I knew that as well as I knew my own name. Instead of poking the hornet's nest, I gave her a genuine response. My only agenda is to do my job so well you're forced to give me a 5-star review. I don't give out 5 stars, she said, relaxing somewhat. I'm going to earn them. I couldn't help sneaking a little bit of humor into my voice. We'll see, she replied, finally coming to join me at the table. We both sat down like civilized people and worked through the material I'd brought. I could tell she was impressed when she stopped focusing on the past and began to see the possibilities for the future. She asked me a ton of questions about each event, whether I had ever done it before, how well people liked it, that kind of thing. I couldn't help enjoying myself, and I spent more time with her than I should have. She reminded me of all the good times we had together. We were young and in love and thought that nothing would ever change. Being with her was like recapturing a bit of my youth, and I had to admit that it was pleasant. She looked at her watch finally and jumped. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we've been here so long. I have to go. I'll send you the contract later today, I said, gathering my things and getting to my feet. The first payment is due when the contract is signed. Sure, fine, she agreed. I'll send you the complete list of events on December 1st. She straightened and inhaled at the same time, proof that she was getting angry. I knew my cue and left without saying another word.